Mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's back in 2018. Prior to her diagnosis, my sister and I had noticed some changes in her. We saw that her communication skills were declining, so we thought it best that we take her to the doctor. And the first time we took her, after the examination, when he spoke with us, he didn't really see any cause for concern. So I guess it was a good day, so to speak, because my mom likes to flirt with her doctors.
According to the Alzheimer's Association, more than 6 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's. 1 in 3 seniors dies with Alzheimer's or dementia. It kills more than breast cancer and prostate cancer combined. Deaths from Alzheimer's disease increased 145% between the year 2000 and 2019. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Alzheimer's and dementia deaths increased by 16%. Alzheimer's disease is progressive. It is the most common cause of dementia, which is a continuous decline in thinking, behavioral, and social skills that affects a person's ability to function independently. That's why an early and accurate diagnosis is so important.
Well, after the first visit to the doctor's office with Mom, my sister and I continued to see a decline in her. So we did follow up with him a month or so later. And it was at that time that he saw symptoms, and he did diagnose her with dementia, but no MRI or other test was given.
But what we know is that when someone is living with Alzheimer's disease, the brain is actually losing cells over time. There's a buildup in the brain of an abnormal level of tau protein, and what that does is that causes the cells in the brain to become sick and eventually die over time. And so that's why a provider, if they do imaging like an MRI, they can actually see the size of the brain or the volume of the brain has decreased over time, so the brain will look smaller overall on imaging. And that's because as it loses those cells, the size will decrease.
When we look at accurate and timely diagnosis for Alzheimer's, the first thing I say is really about planning for care, because this disease, you could live with it for 5 years up to 20 years, and really is around care planning. Also, one of the things that we really encourage is the earlier detection, the more likely you are to enter clinical trials. For somebody that's diagnosed early, to give them the autonomy to be a part of their care plan journey. Because in the earlier stages, you're more likely to have a care partner that's with you, and as you progress, having a caregiver that supports you.
Everyone has the occasional memory lapses, but that does not justify a diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease. There are other things that could happen when one experiences memory loss.
So when someone is experiencing memory loss or other cognitive changes, we don't necessarily assume that it's due to Alzheimer's disease. So it's important to get a full, complete workup to determine what are some other things that may be contributing to those cognitive changes. For example, someone may be having issues with their cardiovascular health. So they may be experiencing TIAs or mini strokes and not even know it, because the symptoms wouldn't show the same as if someone had a major stroke that people typically think of. So cardiovascular health can be a major risk factor and contributing factor to your brain health and therefore to the function of the brain.
Over time, symptoms usually get worse. In addition to not recognizing family members, they may have trouble finding words or forget what they want to say. They can become anxious, aggressive, or they may even wander away from home. Eventually, they will need total care, which can cause great stress for the caregiver or family members who must care for them.
You know, people think of it as memory loss, but they're going to lose logical thinking, reasoning, problem solving, language skills, conversation, the ability to read, the ability to do things that they used to do with ease. Maybe you played cards, now they can't. Maybe they used to cook and now they can't. Your husband may have been the one who did the bills and now he gets them all messed up. So the caregiver now is going to be taking on more and more tasks that their loved one was doing that can no longer do.
After Mom's diagnosis, things seemed to go downhill really fast. My sister and I were at a complete loss, and we didn't really know what to do. We did things just to make her comfortable. Eventually, we remembered that she was a client of Hillsborough County Aging Services, and we were able to get in touch with her caseworker. It was at that time that we were able to get more services to not only help her, but to help my sister and I as caregivers.
Caregiver is our niche. You will find dealing with just the burdens of being a caregiver are ongoing. So caregiver education is a strong focus on us, making the caregiver realize that they're just as important as the participant.
It's not as easy as it sounds. In fact, research shows that caring for a person with Alzheimer's can mean more negative outcomes for the caregiver than any other kind of caregiving.
As we know, caregivers, especially those who are caring for people living with dementia, are at very high risk for health issues themselves just due to that chronic, prolonged stress. And so it's important to make sure that the caregiver is aware of the resources that are available to them.
Caring for someone with Alzheimer's or dementia is not like your typical amount of stress. This is not the everyday stresses that come with a busy schedule or the twists and turns of life. So that's why self-care is necessary.
I think the first thing to do is to start with self-care. And most don't see that because as caregivers, we start to give more to others than we do for ourselves. So making sure that we, one, are healthy. I think one of the best suggestions I could give to a caregiver is don't wait to learn what the resources are until it's a crisis, whether it's for you as the caregiver or the person living with Alzheimer's or other related dementia.
At Hillsborough County's Adult Day Services, they understand the client cannot be the only one receiving support.
We understand when you're providing services to the client, it's just not the client that you're caring for. It's the entire family, their whole support circle. So that's your caregivers. Sometimes even what we call care partners. So that might be their, significant other plus their kids. Plus maybe they might have a professional in-home service provider who provides respite also. You want to kind of get a true account of the whole lifestyle and all of the needs.
Caregivers take on many roles. One day you may be the cook, the next you're taking your loved one to the doctor. Regardless, you're learning so much information and gaining considerable knowledge. Each day will be different, so taking care of yourself is vital so you can take care of your loved one.
Caregivers need to realize it's an overwhelming task and they really need the help of others. So whether it be family members, friends, neighbors, people from church, you need to form that support group for yourself to help you.
Hillsborough County Aging Services partners with several outside agencies to help maximize services to everyone involved in the care of a client.
So we contract with University of South Florida Memory Disorder Clinic, USF Burr Institute, Alzheimer's Association, a lot of affiliation to bring on that caregiver education and resources to help them deal with and cope through those daily challenges.
Through Aging Services, they gave us resources that we can use. Mom was able to get her COVID shots here in the home. My sister was here with her when she got her COVID shots. So they gave my sister hers as well. All the supplies and things that she needed to help us take care of her, she was able to get. And they also gave us other resources outside of the home that they contract with that were able to come in and assist us. So, we're just grateful and thankful for them.
You don't have to do this alone. So if you're a caregiver, please seek out resources in your community that can help you be the best you can be for your loved ones. Here's a few you can start with today. Visit Hillsborough County's Aging Services at hcflgov.net/aging or by calling 813-272-5250. Visit the USF Memory Disorder Clinic at 3515 East Fletcher Avenue in Tampa or by calling 813-974-3100 or learn more from the Alzheimer's Association Florida Gulf Coast chapter at alz.org/FL Gulf Coast or by calling 1-800-272-3900.